And our community spotlight today is tending to the well-being of our caregivers and Sunrise Retreats. And this is brought to us by Marni Henderson, who is the founder of Sunrise Retreats. Marni holds a Bachelor of Science degree in Community Health Education from Western Washington University, with over 25 years of experience as a credentialed community health educator and personal trainer. Marni provides an integrated approach to wellness that brings together the parts of you, physical, cognitive, emotional, spiritual, to create a holistic life path. With the art of life and the science of health, she guides others to reconnect with themselves and the world around them while discovering mindfulness techniques, appropriate exercise, meaningful ceremonies, nourishing food education, and more to support their well-being. Through personal coaching, education, patient advocacy, retreat experience, or workplace wellness, Marni offers a variety of meaningful ways to facilitate the journey of lifelong well-being. Personal experiences shaped and guided her founding of Sunrise Retreats. And Sunrise Retreats is an Idaho nonprofit organization that offers healing, educational retreat experiences for those navigating life after the death of a partner. Since 2017, Sunrise Retreats and Marni have had over 70 women attend these unique weekends and have found resources, connections, body work tools, and hope to rediscover life. So at this time, I want to thank Marni for sharing her personal experiences, professional experiences, and for sharing her time with us today at Learn. Marni, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Good morning. Thank you so much for that, Mary. Yes, so tending to the caregiver, and specifically, as Mary said, when you're caregiving for your spouse. So a little bit of my background. Mary covered quite a bit of it, but my background has been varied with many different settings, with the emphasis on disease prevention, and also after, when you experience some type of life-changing event, how do we pick up those pieces and put our life back together? And it was a personal experience that really shifted my focus. I had a stroke when I was 33 and realized that, there's more to life than just the technicalities of health and well-being. There's a bigger picture. So I started to refocus on this more holistic, whole person perspective on health and wellness, which expanded my trainings and education. And then, as we'll find out in this presentation, when I was 39, my husband was diagnosed with brain cancer and passed away 15 months later. And so once again, my life experience really altered and shaped how my outlook was and how I shared with others the approach to health and well-being. So next slide. So that just as a base for everyone, so where I'm coming from is that health and wellness is a big picture, whole being perspective, that it includes all these different dimensions and realms of who we are, and that there is a way to bring science and the art of living together to create our well-being. And it's a lifelong process, and it puts each of us in the driver's seat because we are responsible for that. And so at heart, I'm an educator. I love experiential education and coaching. And so this is the lens that Sunrise Retreats, which you'll find out about, and also my business works through, is this big picture. Next slide. And with that is, again, one of my main threads is that the currency of our wellness is connection, whether it's connection to our body, connection to our cognitive mind, our emotions, our environment. it's connection. And when that connection is strengthened or weakened is where we have an opportunity to learn more, grow, heal in those different areas. So next slide. So just a little bit, I don't want to spend too much on the technicalities because it's early in the morning, but caregiver health, which I'm preaching to the choir, caregiving is quite a life experience, whether you're doing it professionally or for a family member or someone you care for. It is very stressful on the whole person. You're more apt to have chronic disease, decline in our health, whether that's mental well-being or physical well-being or emotional well-being. There's more, there's less sleep. So the whole picture with caregiving tends to put us in a very a place that's fertile for disease and unhealthy living place. So caregiving needs education and support, the caregiver as well. So that outside support that tends to the caregiver. Next slide. So what happens though when that caregiver is our spouse, when it's our partner? It overloads the experience even more so because of the intimacy and the connection between the caregiver and the person requiring and needing the support. Next slide. And a little bit on that. So 66% of when you're caregiving, when you're caregiving your spouse, it's not paid, as most caregiving is not, but because it's your spouse, we tend to do it because that's our best friend, that's our partner, that's the one who we've committed to. And so we do it without even thinking about financial resources, but it actually puts quite a bit of financial strain on the partnership because one person actually may not be able to work at all because of their illness or disability. And then the person caregiving is maybe trying to also still hold their job or shifting to part-time. It's 24/7 care again, because that is your partner. You are at home with them, you live with them. That's your place. Your health and well-being is deeply impacted because of the relationship. This is again your partner in all things life. And so when that relationship shifts to one of you totally taking care of the other, and there not being support going back and forth, it puts quite a strain on you personally, as well as the relationship. It shifts the dynamic. As well as there begins to be this anticipatory grief process because you're watching your partner decline, and often the thought of mortality begins to become more of a reality, or even a decreased way of living in your relationship. And so a grief process begins quite often with that, and which brings its own new set of health and on all of us, on the whole part of us. Next slide. And then they die. So here it is, we've had this experience of this is our partner, and we are their caregiver. And then that caregiving ends, as well as the relationship with our partner, which is the death of a partner is one of the most life-changing, stressful experiences that we go through. And so we have the caregiving experience, which is highly stressful in itself. And then we add in that this person we're caregiving for, who is our partner, dies. Our life is completely altered in all aspects. Next screen. So when my husband, so I was his caregiver. Fortunately, I was able to work from home part-time. I shifted to part-time, but we also had 2 young children at the time. I had a 8 and 12-year-old. And so I was that person who was caregiving and also working and had young children. And then my husband died from the brain cancer, and then begins this whole new process. So my little bit of the personal story was that I thought I could handle all of this because of my background in helping others navigate life after a disease or open heart surgery, these big life-altering moments. And I was absolutely not prepared. There's nothing in the world or professional training that could prepared me for this experience. So my health was lost after the death of my husband. And here it was, I'm still trying to raise 2 children and help them with their grief process. So about 5 years, or actually, yeah, it was about 3-4 years after, when I finally tended to myself, I realized that this is an opportunity to use the skills I had and redirect them into navigating our well-being and our health after the death of a spouse, because it is such a monumental experience. So how do we do that? And I want to take a 2-minute pause here and offer all of you something. One of the most beneficial things we can do, whether we're the caregiver right now, actively caregiving someone, or we're navigating the death of someone we love, or we're stressed out, is to help calm our nervous system and allow our heart rate to drop and our blood pressure to calm down. So if I have your permission, we will practice something called heart math breathing, and it's a tool that is free. It's you can take it with you. It's you can do it on the spot. There's nothing needed, and the science is phenomenal. So relax for just a minute. Close your eyes and start noticing your breathing. As you breathe in your nose and out your mouth, slow your breathing down. With each breath, let your shoulders relax and soften your eyes, your jaw. Slow your breathing down even more. Nice, deep, full breaths in your nose and out your mouth. And I invite you to notice the breath as it comes in. Send it down to your heart, to the area in your physical body, in your chest. You can see your heart beating there. Send your breath down into your heart. You can actually see your heart beating strong. And now bring into your awareness a person, a place, an experience, maybe an animal that brings joy, that fills your heart with kindness and unconditional love. bring this experience, this person, or this place into your awareness and into your heart. So each breath, you are bringing this experience of unconditional love and acceptance and joy into yourself. And let it completely fill all of you with each breath. And notice any differences in your body. If you feel more at peace, more calm. And any time throughout the day you feel a little stressed out or concerned, anxious, you can take that real quick moment to just breathe into your heart and recalibrate your nervous system. So that is heart math breathing. It's a tool that I use and teach in almost every setting because it's quick and we can take it with us anywhere. So next slide. So earlier I said that connection is the currency of wellness, and with the either the ending of a caregiving responsibility or the death of our spouse that we've been caregiving, there is a disconnect in almost every area of our life. And so there's the immediate loss of the death of our partner, which the world understands and knows, but then there's something, there's all these other invisible losses. We lose part of our community, our finances are impacted, our most usually cherished partnership that gives us a great foundation in support, our cheerleader. We have a disconnect from our past, present, and future, memories and forward dreams. Our identity is changed. Our health is impacted, and of course, there's a loss of intimacy, whether it's emotional or physical. And so you can see that there's a great disconnect in our overall well-being in every aspect. So next slide. So many of you are probably aware of what happens in grief. And there's many different types of phases. What I started to focus on, though, as an educator and this reclaiming our well-being during this time of our life was the reorganization. And it's not a linear path. Grief and rebuilding our lives after the end of a relationship is not linear. It keeps going. It's this amazing path that winds and weaves and circles back. But I wanted to focus on this reorganization part of the journey. So next slide. Next slide, because we did that. So one of the greatest indicators of reclaiming health after the death of a spouse is to create resiliency and being able to create new life. And that is found with re-engaging in everyday activities, developing new social relationships that support that. And then also knowing that you have a community of people who are going to support not only your grief process, but support your journey of adjusting to your new reality. And with that was born Sunrise Retreats. Next slide. So Sunrise Retreats, I realized I wanted to create this experience where I had the support and an environment where I could reclaim my well-being in all ways and find a new way to live. And actually was pushed off my grief counselor's couch. When I had said it enough times, she said, well, then I'm tired of hearing it from you. You better do something about it. So in 2017, I gathered a couple massage therapists. We found an outdoor venue, a cabin up in McCall, and a clinical therapist. And we put together this amazing weekend retreat where we supported women who were navigating life after the death of their partner. And I wanted to hit all aspects of the mind, the body, the spirit, and create this space where these women could still process their grief, but also have the support to pick themselves up and put these pieces back together and find a way where they could live with new meaning and hopefully find some hope and support. Next slide. We partnered with another local nonprofit, River Discovery, for the first year. And after we filled up the retreats without any problem, they said, it's time for you to be your own nonprofit. We love you and want to support you, but this is definitely a slightly different population. These are the partners of someone who's died. And so we have an amazing group of women who volunteer their time to offer these weekend retreats where we find connection there with each other. And I offer wellness education and coaching. They receive a massage, amazing food. We do outdoor experiences, and they find a new community of women that are supporting them forward. Next slide. How do we do this? Many hands make light work. This was the team we had. This is the main retreat team. Most of the women in that picture were actually from the very first retreat. We have our counselor as well. And we now hold our retreats. We have a permanent home at Hidden Paradise, which is the home of Camp Rainbow Gold. If you have not heard about it, please look it up. It's this beautiful property that our state, actually Governor Little just got back behind them, is making sure that this property is funded for all Idahoans and nonprofits to use. So that is our home. We offer 2 retreats a year. It's a professional curriculum that I've developed that's very purposeful and is directed to enhancing the well-being of these women. Again, I said we have massage therapists and we have a licensed clinical professional. It's whole person based, and it's not therapeutic. So we're sure for the attendees to understand that we have the support of a clinician, of myself and the counselor, but it's not therapeutic. We are an Idaho nonprofit, which means we don't ever turn anyone away. And we're hoping we are here as a permanent resource in the Idaho community. Next slide. So some of the, these are just some of the experiences that women have had that we always ask them in our post survey what they leave feeling. Feeling empowered. They wish they would have known about this sooner in their journey. Learning, hearing other stories, knowing that they're not alone, that there's no right way to do this, and that they drive away feeling stronger, hopeful, and renewed. Next slide. These are just some more pictures, hopefully to inspire you that these are real women who trust us. That's why we want to be sure this is a very professional experience, because the women are trusting us with a very tender part of themselves. And we have a lot of fun. There's a lot of tears, there's a lot of laughter, there's dancing and campfires, chocolate, and creativity. So next slide. Again, some of the women walking away from one of our fun activities. I leave you with this quote: "Our resilience increases as we recognize the magnitude of what we have already accomplished." So that is my community spotlight on sunrise retreats and how important it is that we tend to the well-being of our caregivers, and in this case, the caregivers of our loved ones who happen to be our partner, our spouse. And are there any questions?
Marni, thank you so much again for sharing that and sharing your own personal story and your journey and combining that with the professional element and what you've been able to grow and, well, to begin and to grow as a result of that.